Hi, my name's Keith Cooper of Northlight Images, and this is my overview for the Epson P5300 printer. Quite a hefty printer as you see it here. P5300, P5370 in the States, P5360 I believe in Australia and New Zealand. I've been testing this printer. This review is a relatively short one because all the things that I cover, talking about printing, paper feeds, inks, initialization, all the sort of stuff like that, I've got longer detailed reviews looking at aspects of that. I've also got the main written review which will link together everything that I've written or produced on video covering this particular printer. Anyway, obviously it's a big printer. It's based on the Epson P5000, which looks very similar. I've got one upstairs, but it has the ink set, 10 inks, pigment inks, of the Epson P700 900. Has the same print head as the P700 P900. That means that actually in terms of print quality that you get out of it, you will get virtually identical print quality out of this as you would on the 700 900. Now, there are quite a few things you can do on this one that you can't do on the smaller printers, quite a few things on the smaller printers that you can't do on this larger one. I have got a P900 versus P5300 shootout video that goes through all the features, the differences between them as to why you might choose one over the other. It's not as simple as you might think. There are lots of subtle differences between them that may be important, may not mean anything at all to you. But anyway, this one here, 10 inks, Epson Ultrachrome inks, 2 blacks, normal CMYK, light colours, light grey. It has a violet ink as well, which extends the gamut in some areas. They call it violet, it's almost a blue violet, or sort of a very bluey cyan ink. I don't think it's really violet, that such, but anyway, that's what it's called. You don't really need to know about that other than the fact there's plenty of inks in it and it gives a good, nice wide print gamut. Exactly the same as the 700 900. Now, the origins of this, the P5000, is a commercial printer. That's got slightly different inks. It has a different, bigger print head, which makes it faster. But that printer, the 5000, needs using ideally every few days. At least I make sure I have a reminder set so it reminds me to do a nozzle check or switch it on at least once a week. With a printer like this, because of the print head, the print heads in this, the 700 900 one, designed much more for non-commercial use, for home use, for advanced amateur, anything you like, doesn't really matter, but it's designed for more intermittent use. Even so, I would not like to leave this one more than a couple of weeks without at least running off a nozzle check. Nozzle check on plain paper counts as a print. You don't need to print something like this every few weeks to keep it busy. Just do the nozzle check, turn it on, run things like that. Keeps it in good condition. Now, what about paper feeds for this? This is where this one excels. It has, at the back here, it has roller. Now, unlike the P900, this is a proper spindle-based roller. It has tensioning adjustment. It's powered feed. It works really well. Loading is simple. You just say you want to load it. You put the leading edge, it beeps, it draws the paper in. Now, nice thing with this, with the roll of this compared to others, is this has a cutter in it. So it will neatly trim the paper off and produce your prints for you. That's fine. You don't have to use that. You could use scissors if you really want to do. And in fact, if you're going to be printing canvas on this, I would suggest not using the built-in cutter. It's quite expensive, and if you use heavy, thick canvas on it and do more than just the occasional print, you will blunt it and you'll need to replace it. And they're about 160 quid, the assembly, the cutter blade assembly for this. It is not cheap. However, I've had a P5000 for years. I cut regularly on it. I've never needed to replace the blade. But then again, I've only ever done a few sheets of canvas on it. So just bear that in mind if you're going to be using this for production type use. And that is what it's aimed at. This is a production printer. This is a printer that you come in the morning, you switch it on, and it starts churning out prints for you. It'll do that all day long. Do that with something like a 900, I'm going to say, which is not a commercial printer, and you're going to start wearing bits out within a few months and that. This should give you much higher print volumes. I mentioned the roll paper feeds in here. There is a sheet feed at the back, so you can just feed sheets one sheet at a time in here. You do have to feed them in, and they just go under. There's a slight click as they go into place, and then they're drawn through. So that's sheet feeding. You can feed from the front if need be, but if you feed from the front, it goes right through the printer, comes out the back. Now, it has a thick. So here's a print made on board. This print, I loaded it up here, and I've got a video covering all these individual parts of this. So printing on board, for example, it goes through, and this board has to come right out the back to be able to print. So I had to wheel this forward quite a bit. For anyone wondering about what this is standing on, because this thing weighs 70 odd kilos, it's not light. This is what's called a butcher's trolley underneath it. Because of the size of this, I'm shooting this in our kitchen. This is one that was from John Lewis in the UK a few years ago, and has been co-opted into a printer, used as a printer stand, temporary printer stand, I'm told. So that's, if you want a stand like that, you need a solid stand. Anyway, that's board, prints fine. This is double-sided. I could take this out, I could run it through again and print on the other side for the board. This doesn't support double-sided printing. That's an office printer function as far as I'm concerned. You can't do anything like that with it. One other important paper feature with this printer that you don't get on others is this. And there's the paper cassette. Now, this has got A4 in. The minimum sheet size you can print on this is 8x10. This is A4. This will take A2. It will actually take USC paper size. If the paper is thin enough, and basically, certainly photo paper like this, it works just fine. I could load up 100 sheets of photo paper in this, put it in, away it goes. Now, it has no print catcher. So you will need to actually pay attention to what happens to the prints as they come out of it, so otherwise they collect on the floor. So you'll need to worry about that, but you can just load it up with paper and it works fine. It has some soft rollers at the back that pick the paper up. I've seen no damage on paper. I've even put lighter art papers through it and it worked fine. That's not necessarily recommended, but you'll have to, if you want that and have a lighter art paper, say a 220 gram watercolor or something like that, I had no problem putting that through. It's not listed as compatible, but worth a go. Pop that back in there. I mentioned the output tray here. They're a bit awkward to pull out sometimes. I'm told that if you sort of gently rub down the plastic, it makes it a lot easier to do, but this isn't my printer. This one's going back to Epson. This is a brand new one. So we'll pop that back into there. So that's that. Bit more on inks. That's an ink cartridge. 200 millilitres of ink compared to the 50 millilitres you get in the P900, and much less in many other printers. One of these will last a long while. The starter carts that come with it are 80 mil. About half of that is used in setup. There is a maintenance cartridge here that you change. You won't need to change that for quite some time. And there's another maintenance cartridge hidden underneath here, catching Borderless overspray. Now, Borderless. This printer will not print full Borderless on sheet paper. End of. It will not do it. So I say that because it's possible to read the manual for it. It's not written quite as clearly as it could be in this respect, and think that it does sheet Borderless. What it does for sheet Borderless, it will print to the edge for set sizes, but it won't print Borderless end to end. If you want proper Borderless printing, use roll paper. It prints edge to edge, and that's what the cart in here is for. These last for ages as well. It'll print that, and then it will chop the paper, and you'll get Borderless that way. So if you absolutely need Borderless, you'll have to use roll paper. You can't use smaller sheets than 8x10, so no putting cards through it or anything like that. You want to print cards, Print them on a larger sheet of card and then cut it up afterwards. That's the way to do it on this. You want those functions of a small printer, buy a small printer. You don't get that with it. General terms, sort of usability for the printer. Touch screen. The screen on this is virtually the same as the P900, very easy to use. Doesn't show for some reason the image of the print that's happening, and another thing, there's no light inside. Although I know somebody did say, little warning I get when I've opened something, somebody did say they put a strip of LEDs in here and a wire, and it was easy enough to light it up. But do make sure whatever you've got that you go through doesn't touch the print head as it goes across, so just be careful with that. Talking of print heads, that is the same print head as the P900 and P700. It has an option on this in the maintenance menu to do a special cleaning, which you can do, which you'll tell that and it will shunt the head over here. It will stop beeping at you, and you've got access to the capping station and where the cleaning blades, so there are cleaning functions there. This printer, as I said, the chassis is designed on the based on the P5000. That was designed to minimize problems with paper dust and various other things like that. It has a vacuum system holding the paper flat as it goes through. Now, the vacuum system means that this is somewhat better at dealing with paper that's not quite flat. It still won't like turned up edges, but because of the vacuum system, it holds the paper very flat as it goes through printing. Never had any problems during all the testing on this on head strikes and the like. There are fans in this, and you will notice the fans. The moment it starts up, you do not want this printer sitting next to you at your desk. Not if it's going to be using it all day. It is quite noisy. But that's because it's a commercial printer. It has heavy-duty fans, which with air filters, it's designed to try and minimize the dust build-up inside, all of those things that affect long-term reliability of a printer that's used every day. All features like that. I mentioned the weight, 70 odd kilos. It's delivered on a pallet. Just remember that when carriers drop off stuff like that, they are highly unlikely to help you do anything with it once it's on your doorstep. You will need someone else to help you unpack it and get it in somewhere. I'm sure there are people around who can lift this up. I just wouldn't try it myself. Definitely need it. There are sort of lifting points at the sides here for, for moving it and things like that. It's a hefty old printer, but it's designed for regular use. What about ink costs? Well, it turns out this printer, if you say compare, and I've got a comparison video with the 900. If you took the price of this printer and ink, and that's being used, and the price of the P900 and ink that's being used, the two would break even around about 15 carts of this size. That's 1.5 ink sets. Because remember, that's 3 litres of ink. Conversely, that is 60 cartridges for the P900. That's a lot of printing. So don't think of getting this necessarily, unless you're doing sort of heavy-duty printing. If you're getting this for the quality, the roll paper, something like that, you're not buying it for cheapness of ink, because that benefit won't cut in until you've done quite a lot of printing. I would suggest getting a maintenance contract with it, because the printer is designed to be repairable. This is a commercial printer. All the bits on it are replaceable. I've seen bits replaced in the P5000 upstairs. Didn't help when I dropped a small screw inside it, hit the print head exploded. So I've seen inside the P5000. They are very solidly built. There is a reason this weighs so much. I would say it's got girders inside it, but it's hefty. The electronics, everything is over-engineered compared to the smaller printers you get, smaller desktop printers. So, in terms of usage, how often does it need using? Bit of a $60,000 question. I don't know. The recommendation is that you do some form of print every week on it. Now, some form of print can just be a nozzle check. A nozzle check On plain paper, it's one of the reasons the plain paper is in here, a nozzle check just does, the bits, check that that's okay, do that once a week, that counts as a print. You do not need to print, there's something like this, or an A4 version of it, you do not need to do that for it. If I had this, what would I set? I have a weekly reminder set on my P5000 to make sure I use it some way. On this, I think I would safely put that as a 2-week reminder, but this is based, the head on this, remember, is based on a consumer grade, well, it's a consumer grade, it plays it down a bit, on a consumer level product, the print head. So therefore it's expected that it won't be used quite as often. I would prefer to use this every week, every other week, but I suspect this one could be left a few weeks without problems if you're going on holiday. Longer than that, I would leave it. I would turn off the timer in it that turns it off automatically. I would leave it on my network, and I would just make sure that a small print job was sent to it once a week, once every 2 weeks or so, like that. Load it up with paper, away it will go. Yes, you'll have a pile of prints on the floor when you get back, but they'll only just be plain prints with stuff like that. Yeah, nice print. Print quality, the same as the 900. So that means almost all papers, the best in terms of speed and print quality you're going to get out of it is using it at the 1440 print mode. Does not need running at the extra high settings. I found that with most papers, the highest quality settings, the extra black overcoat and things like that, they make tiny differences at the cost of vastly slower printing and with no real benefit that you can see. I found one paper during testing of this, Hahnemuller metallic, Photorite metallic, that actually showed a benefit of printing at the higher quality. I had to look carefully, but that is one paper of all the papers I've tested, and I've tested a lot of papers on this. So there you have it. I've covered lots of stuff in all the other videos and things. If you've got any questions, let me know. Have a look at the written review, because that will tie together everything I've done about this. And of course, the advantage of the written review is that if in 2 weeks' time after this has gone back, I discover some important feature of this printer, don't think I've forgotten anything, I can add it to the written review. The videos, you're stuck. They are as they are when recorded and edited, so that's it. So, thanks for watching. Please do subscribe to the channel. I'm hoping that my next big printer to look at will be one of the new big Canon ones, but I don't know. Depends what I can get to look at and things like that. So, thanks for watching, and bye.